With more than $1 billion on the line, chances are you're in a lottery pool.
We did it for the first go round, and the money increased, and then we did it again for the third time. So we're looking for the $1.3 billion.
But if you don't set some rules, there's a chance you could be in for legal problems if your numbers come up.
It's a legal loophole that could help people charged with sex crimes against children. Now, a Kentucky lawmaker wants to make sure child predators stay behind bars.
How this woman almost lost money trying to rent her property online. The takeaway for you coming up.
This is WKYT News at 5:30.
Good evening. Time is ticking on your chance to become a billionaire. The drawing for the largest lottery jackpot in history is now just about 5.5 hours away.
And you cannot buy a ticket after 10 p.m. $1.5 billion is on the line in tonight's Powerball. This is a live picture from the Kroger and Brandon Crossing. There has been a steady line of customers all day long buying tickets. Now, many people are taking part in the lottery through office pools, and here is the WKYT list. It is now up to 36 names, thanks to Chris Bailey. So what if you win in that pool? Well, there's a chance you could end up in court before you see any of that cash. WKYT's Victor Puente has our top story at 5:30.
The employees at Surge Promotions in Richmond are some of the millions of Americans entering office lottery pools.
Last week when they didn't announce a winner, we figured we needed to pitch in and aim high.
But attorney Stephen Katz says many winning pools lead to legal battles.
And they say, well, you know, I would have paid for the ticket and I was always in the poll, and you know, but just because I was sick doesn't mean that I can't participate, or doesn't mean that I was in it. Here's my $2, now give me my $4 million.
Ellis says that's a problem they don't anticipate because every person who works here is part of their pool.
No hesitation. Everyone wanted to buy in.
With only 9 employees, keeping track hasn't been an issue. But at Total Quality Logistics in Lexington, they have a bit more to keep track of, with 108 people in their pool.
Yeah, we haven't heard of anybody else having a bigger pool than that in Lexington. So.
It's about half our office.
So they've turned to keeping track of their numbers and their tickets electronically.
She's been keeping an Excel sheet with all the numbers and so on and so forth. So,
which Katz says is a good idea on the off chance you do win that money.
We now have 44 states that participate in Powerball, and in the major states, these lawsuits are a dime a dozen.
Despite the differences in size, employees at both offices have one thing in common: plans for that money.
Where we would go on vacation and how we would buy islands beside each other.
Causing a lot of excitement. I'll just pay off my wife's debt, so I would probably be finished with my earnings. But
in Lexington, Victor Puente, WKYT.
Well, good luck to you, and this reminder, you can watch tonight's Powerball drawing live right here on WKYT. It's at 10:59. And here's a few more lottery notes for you. At one point last night, Powerball officials say they were selling 370,000 tickets per minute. By tonight, they expect 85% of the possible number combinations to be purchased, meaning there is an 85% chance that at least one winning ticket will be sold.
Well, there's a real good chance tomorrow will be warmer. How about those odds? Tomorrow we could be 20 degrees warmer, but it may not last long. WKYT Chief Meteorologist Chris Bailey, who is now officially in the lottery pool, is feeling pretty lucky, aren't you?
You know what? Better late than never, huh? Maybe I'll be the number that just puts us over the top. Speaking of numbers kind of putting us over the top, we've been close to the 32-degree mark all afternoon long into southern Kentucky. That warmer air slowly lifting to the north. Look at the Florence area. Look at all the snow that is still on the ground here. 22 degrees, 30 in the capital city of Frankfort, 31 into Lexington, with skies that were sunny earlier trying to cloud over a little bit late this afternoon. Still a little touch of snow showing up on that Mountain Parkway cam as well. Northern northeastern Kentucky were noticeably colder. Farther southwest, look at Bowling Green, 38. That warmer southwesterly wind beginning to blow on into town as well. We are tracking a snowmaker that is bypassing Kentucky. It is well to our north, though it may throw a snow flurry or two into parts of northern Kentucky. You see one or two of those returns showing up on your Defender radar network. As we look ahead, watching a little rain system that comes in after a gorgeous Thursday. This arrives on Friday, so umbrellas in tow already when you get set for those Friday morning plans. By the nighttime hours, touches some snow into town. We'll focus more on what comes in Sunday. Guys, that's another round of Arctic snows and the possibility, a good possibility, of even colder temperatures than the single digits that we had this morning. That 7-day forecast, no holds barred in just a few.
10 people have been shot in Lexington in just the first 12 days of this new year. 4 of them have died. The latest murder happened last night. Police say that 23-year-old Timothy Brown died after he was shot multiple times. He was found inside his car near the McDonald's restaurant on Russell Cave Road. Today, Lexington's police chief held a news conference to address all the shootings, even announcing arrests and warrants in one case. We will hear from him about the spike in violent crime ahead on WKYT News at 6.
The man accused of killing a 7-year-old Kentucky girl returned to court today in Allen County.
Timothy Madden is charged with several crimes, including murder and kidnapping in the killing of little Gabby Doolin. Jennifer Palumbo joins us now at the live desk with an update on that case. Jennifer?
Sam, police say 38-year-old Timothy Madden kidnapped, raped, and murdered Gabby Doolin last November during a youth football game at Allen County Scottsville High School. But Madden says he didn't do it. In a Scottsville courtroom filled with the family of both Gabby Doolin and Timothy Madden, the accused killer maintained his innocence. This afternoon, his attorney entered a not guilty plea for his client to charges of kidnapping, rape, and murder. The death penalty is an option in this case. Because of that, Madden does not have bail and remains in jail. The Commonwealth will decide whether to pursue the death penalty by the end of March. Now, prosecutors are waiting for DNA evidence to come back, and Madden's attorney says he has new evidence that includes video of Madden before the crime. At the live desk, Jennifer Palumbo, WKYT.
Jennifer, thank you. A judge has scheduled Madden's next court appearance for July 13th. A Kentucky Amish minister is behind bars after confessing to a decade-old murder. 39-year-old Samuel Borntrager of Metcalfe County has been charged with first-degree murder after he confessed to poisoning his wife in 2006 while living in Missouri. Borntrager claimed he put antifreeze in his wife's drinks and battery acid in her body. Authorities exhumed the wife's body on Tuesday and are now investigating her death. Police say Borntrager wanted to clear his conscience after recently becoming a minister.
Kentucky's Attorney General says people caught committing numerous sex acts against children could be set free because of a problem in Kentucky's law. Andy Bashir went before a legislative panel today, pleading for support in helping him fight crime. Our Phil Pendleton tells us what happened during the hearing in a story that's new at 5:30.
Kentucky Attorney General Andy Bashir testified in support of the bill. He says it will help those that have been victims of repetitive sex crimes and other crimes against vulnerable adults. He says it actually stems from a case in Christian County some years ago in which a child pedophile was actually released from jail because of a loophole in the law.
She's left with her stepfather, who over the course of the next 5 months allegedly sexually abuses that girl.
That man was convicted, but the state Supreme Court overturned it because Bashir says Kentucky does not have what is called a continuous course of conduct law.
The court stated that this girl and other children would be required to testify in detail about the specific time and place and details of every single individual act.
The bill would allow children instead to testify about the patterns of abuse and not every single time they are victimized.
Such a law is absolutely necessary to protect our kids and to pull known pedophiles off the streets.
The bill passed unanimously and now goes on to the full House. In Frankfort, Phil Pendleton, WKYT.
Bashir says the bill is needed because young children often do not develop the ability to place events in time or recall dates until middle childhood.
School officials in Harlan County are concerned after a preschooler was left alone asleep on a bus. It happened yesterday morning when most students arriving to school got off the bus. One sleeping preschooler was left behind. School officials say when the boy woke up alone on the bus, he opened the door and started walking back towards school. He was eventually picked up along the road by someone passing by and was taken back to the school. Officials say the situation could have been avoided had the bus driver followed protocol and walked to the back of the bus before parking it.
We do have procedures in place, and we'll look at making sure that we follow those and we strengthen those any way that we can to make sure this doesn't happen again.
School officials say their investigation is ongoing and appropriate disciplinary action will be taken.
Renting a property online has its risk. Con men are searching the internet looking to rip off unsuspecting victims, but there are ways to protect yourself.
We decided that we would rent it out when we weren't using it, so I put it online.
Jacqueline is talking about this motorhome lot she and her husband own in Florida.
I got an email from a man that said he wanted to use it for, it was 3 weeks in November. And that was perfect. It was vacant.
They agreed on a price and worked out all the details, but the check never arrived.
I said the check hasn't come, and he sent me a tracking number. And so when we tracked that check, it turned out that it had been pulled.
Postal inspectors were suspicious of the foreign address and pulled the check for fear it was fraudulent, and it was. That's when they reached out to Jacqueline.
I was terrified. I'm a rule follower. I don't break rules, and I'm very trusting, and my husband tells me that sometimes I'm probably too trusting.
Here's how the scam works. A con man sends a fraudulent check for more than the agreed amount and asks the victim to send the difference back. By the time the bank catches up with the bad check, it's too late. The victim has deposited the check in their account and sent the difference to the con men.
A lot of consumers have the misconception that the bank would assume the losses in a situation like this, when in reality, you as a consumer are responsible for the funds that you deposit into your account and for the funds that you withdraw from your account.
Jacqueline considers herself lucky the fraudulent check was pulled and says she's learned a lesson.
I would make sure I got references and call those references and make sure that there was phone communication between the renter and myself.
Good idea. Now, postal inspectors emphasize doing as much research as you can before you enter any financial transaction, especially if the deal is brokered online.
The Lexington restaurant is closing all of its locations less than a year after opening. That story in 5 minutes.
I'm Bill Bryant. Rand Paul using his rejection from a televised debate to raise money. Governor Bevin makes a trip north. And 2 key Kentucky Democrats were in the spotlight today. The bottom line is ahead.
Get WKYT news and weather updates on 104.5 The Cat.
If you have questions about overtime violations or the wage and hour laws in our state, visit forthepeople.com to learn more. Morgan & Morgan, for the people.
Our cancer patients are really special people. They're determined, they're tough, and they're such wonderful people to care for. It's really great to offer patients the standard of care, but then we have trials so that we can also give them the cutting edge, where we explain to the patient this is the standard, but this might be even better. Because of the excellent work we do, we've received an outstanding award from the Commission on Cancer. I'm Dr. Hain, and we treat every one of our patients like family at Baptist Health.
Arby's Mix and Match 2 for $5 is back. Mix and match 2 of these tasty things for just $5. What the heck are those? Bacon, ranch, and cheddar on curly fries? You should definitely get those for one of your tasty things. Then get another thing. But start with the loaded curly fries for sure. Arby's, we have the meats.
Meet the Moores. We're the Moore family, and as you can see, we needed internet that could do more.
We do more games.
And more streaming.
So we need more speed.
That's why we switched to Time Warner Cable.
Now we can connect more devices at the same time.
Hi, Grandma and Grandpa.
Look at that.
Time Warner Cable even has an internet plan for us.
Get the speed you need. Internet plans start as low as $14.99 per month. Call 1-855-1TWC.
The family, the teenage drivers, the snow, the rain. The fact, Toyota has more top safety picks than any other automaker and has an all-wheel drive vehicle that fits you. Like this all-wheel drive Sienna, which outperformed Jeep Grand Cherokee and AMCI testing on snow and ice. Sienna has better acceleration and stopped 76 feet sooner. Now, get 0% financing on Sienna or $1,250 cash back. Toyota, let's go places.
Did your family set a goal to become healthier in the new year? One family did and lost 300 pounds at Ageless. Bruce lost 92 pounds, Adam lost 64 pounds, and Catherine lost 151 pounds. For a medically supervised, affordable weight loss solution, call Ageless today for a free consultation.
Stay connected to the news that matters to you, like WKYT on Facebook. Keep up with the latest news on WKYT.com. Join the conversation on Twitter and become a part of the WKYT Facebook family.
Senator Rand Paul is hoping to cash in on being cut out of tomorrow's presidential debate.
And Governor Bevin is in Detroit this week to promote Kentucky's auto industry. Bill Bryant has all the details in today's Bottom Line.
Good evening. U.S. Senator Rand Paul is using his being shut out of tomorrow's presidential debate to raise money for his run for the White House. The Fox Business Network decided not to offer Paul a spot on the top-tier debate, and he decided he would not take the consolation prize of being cast with the second tier of candidates. The network based its decision on Paul's standing in public polls as of Monday. But a Des Moines Register poll out today placed Paul in 5th place. That would have been good enough to be in the debate. Still, even though the Register poll is the newest, the network apparently will not back up on its decision. Paul has taken to Twitter, urging voters to donate to his campaign as a form of protest. Governor Matt Bevin has been at the prestigious North American International Auto Show in Detroit this week, promoting Kentucky's automotive industry and pointing out the state's success in making cars and trucks. It was Bevin's first official trip out of state as governor. Kentucky is one of the nation's leaders in auto production. Ford has 2 plants in Louisville, thousands are employed by Toyota in Georgetown, and GM makes its Corvettes in Bowling Green. A day of high visibility in Frankfort for the only 2 Democrats now serving in statewide office. Attorney General Andy Beshear testified for a bill that would close a loophole and simplify testimony given by children and vulnerable adults in abuse cases. And down the hall, Secretary of State Allison Lundergan Grimes was pushing a bill that would restore voting rights for some felony offenders. Kentucky's new Agriculture Commissioner Ryan Quarles says he wants to expand the state's Kentucky Proud program. He's a guest on this weekend's Kentucky Newsmakers program. And coming up at 6:30 on the CBS Evening News, more reaction to President Obama's final State of the Union address as he hit the road today to sell some of the proposals he talked about. Bill Bryant, WKYT.
Nearly a year after opening, the Cheesy Mac has closed all of its Lexington locations. Our partners at the Herald Leader say the gourmet macaroni and cheese restaurant closed its Fayette Mall location at the end of the year. That follows the closure of its Richmond Road restaurant and sale of its food truck. The paper could not reach the owner of the Cheesy Mac about the closures.
Now, your hour-by-hour forecast with Chief Meteorologist Chris Bailey.
Single digits to start the day, but the afternoon not half bad out there. We had temperatures closing in on the freezing mark. That's a sign of some warmer days ahead of us before another big drop as we go into the weekend. Live look at a beautiful sky post sunset here in Lexington, KY, looking out across the Hamburg Pavilion area. And it's going to be a quick drop in temperatures out there this evening. Mountain Parkway, we've had a little more in the way of some clouds. You can still see a little touch of some snow into the grassy areas. Current temperatures range from 22 Covington to 32 for the good folks here into Pulaski County. Hello, Somerset. 30 into Mount Sterling. Now that the sun is set, though, 6 o'clock, these numbers will update, and you'll see those numbers coming down. Feels like 11 degrees into Covington, 21 Lexington, upper 20s into parts of southern Kentucky. Not as cold tomorrow morning. Upper 20s to low 30s. It's going to be colder at 10 or 11 tonight than it is first thing tomorrow morning. You'll wake up to temperatures that will be a lot warmer tomorrow afternoon, upper 40s to low 50s, depending on exactly where you are. And depending on where you are across the Ohio Valley, you're getting in on a touch more of some snow. We've had some flakes across parts of east central Kentucky on radar. Not really reaching the ground. You get up toward the AA highway around Mason County, maybe picking up on a snowflake or two. Majority of that stuff is off into the Buckeye State of Ohio. More winter weather, though, is just around the corner. Saturday, a snow shower or some flurries. Is it a big deal Saturday? Nope, absolutely not at this moment. Then we go into Sunday. We've got to watch for some accumulating snow squalls to blow into town ahead of an Arctic front. Those winds on Sunday may be cranking 30 to 40 miles per hour as that Arctic air comes back into town. You know what it's going to bring for the day on Monday? Bitterly cold temperatures. We may be near 0 to start things out as we go into the start of next week. Absolutely crazy with this Arctic air that is just keeps coming at us in waves. But that was the winter forecast. We get toward the second part of winter, and then all of a sudden, old man winter would flex a little muscle. Around here, through the overnight and into the day on our Thursday, the numbers do come up. For the rest of the day tomorrow, temperatures hit the upper 40s to low 50s. And by the time we roll into Friday, rain is getting ready to push back into town. At least that'll wash some of the salt off of the cars and the roads by Friday evening. Temperatures are dropping, and we're talking about a couple of snowflakes that will fill the air into our Saturday. A lot of low-level moisture, a little bit of a northwesterly wind should give us the potential again for some of that cold air. That's with a system that works its way through the area. System that comes in behind that is Arctic air. That's a surge of some snow showers and squalls for the day on Sunday with the coldest air we've had so far this year that is coming on into town. What does that mean for that extended forecast? It means the potential is there for some gusty winds, snow showers, squalls on Sunday, and there's zero conditions at some point either Monday and or Tuesday mornings with wind chills that may go below zero. Coming up at 6, we will show you the wind chill forecast numbers for early next week from the computer model. Several days away, but just to give you an indication on how cold we may be talking.
Why do I feel like I really don't want to know what they are?
That's why turn your head when they come on? Yeah.
Thanks, Chris.
You bet.
Overall traffic flow, it looks like slowdowns we would expect. Outbound Richmond Road on the Circle, also outbound Tates Creek Road still in New Circle Road. And that is partially because of the collision the police have been working that has a lane blocked at Tates Creek and New Circle. But it is a non-injury, so they should get it cleared shortly. Still a portion of the Short Street block that's going to be near the courthouse. It looks like they're still messing with that, but it looks like outbound I-7 or outbound Newtown Pike past the Circle is back to normal. Now back to the studio.
Thanks, Don. The UK women with a big game tomorrow night.
Well, the second-ranked team in the country is coming in. How difficult a game will it be for the Cats? And John Calipari using the lottery as an example for his players to come out and fight. That's next in sport.
CBS Tonight.
Do you like games?
I do. A blind date.
Watch this.
It becomes a deadly game.
He planted a bomb in the building. There are innocent people here. She just armed the bomb. I'm just a girl with daddy issues.
New Criminal Minds. Then, don't miss the first new episode of the year.
She can't be good.
Put the gun down. Code Black after Criminal Minds. New CBS Tonight.
Welcome.
How you doing?
Good, how are you? So today you're going to choose a mobile office. Okay. You can choose this Chevy Silverado, which offers built-in 4G LTE Wi-Fi, or you can choose this Ford F-150, which doesn't offer Wi-Fi. But to make up for it, we added a trailer, a satellite antenna, and Dolores.
Hey, fellas.
What? So which one do you want?
I'd pick the Chevy.
Definitely.
Or get this dependable Silverado All-Star Edition with a total value of $7,250. See your Kentucky Select Chevy dealers.
No two babies are alike. And no two birthing experiences are alike. At the Women's Hospital at St. Joseph East, we believe you should have your baby your way, with a birthing plan designed around you and a level 3 neonatal ICU. A personalized childbirth experience isn't just good for mom, it's good for baby. Kentucky One Health, the one name in healthcare.
Yeah, I can't believe this DQ $5 lunch comes with fries, drink, and a sundae.
Can't believe it now comes with this KC barbecue burger.
I can't believe Randy's barbecuing.
Oh! It's barbecue season at DQ with the new KC Barbecue Bacon Cheeseburger $5 lunch. You need a breakfast built for work days, not weekdays. The chicken and gravy breakfast burrito from your DQ. A chicken strip plus eggs, cheese, and pepper gravy in a warm flour tortilla. Served with crispy hash browns and coffee. Just one of our delicious $3 breakfasts. Only at your DQ.
The flu virus hits big. With aches, chills, and fever. There's no such thing as a little flu. And it needs a big solution. An antiviral.
So when the flu hits, call your doctor right away and up the ante with antiviral Tamiflu. Prescription Tamiflu is an antiviral that attacks the flu virus at its source and helps stop it from spreading in the body. Tamiflu is FDA approved to treat the flu in people 2 weeks of age and older whose flu symptoms started within the last 2 days. Before taking Tamiflu, tell your doctor if you're pregnant, nursing, have serious health conditions, or take other medicines. If you develop an allergic reaction, a severe rash, or signs of unusual behavior, stop taking Tamiflu and call your doctor immediately. Children and adolescents in particular may be at an increased risk of seizures, confusion, or abnormal behavior. The most common side effects are mild to moderate nausea and vomiting. Anti-flu? Go antiviral with Tamiflu.
Coming to Rupp Arena this Saturday, January 16th at 7. Great seats at Ticketmaster.com.
Get WKYT news and weather updates on 98.1 The Bull.
John Calipari picked up some lottery tickets for his players, and he talked about that after last night's game with Mississippi State. Cal was making the point that his players are their own lottery, and the odds are way, way better if they'll just go out and fight for it.
You already own a ticket. You. It may be 50-50 that you're going to hit the lottery, 70-30, 30, but you got to fight. You got to want it. You have a ticket. A lot of people buying these lottery tickets have no chance in anything else other than 292 million to 1 to be that.
You know, we're just trying to listen to what he says, and you know, most of the time he gives us a speech and you know, kind of gives a little bit of motivation and just give something to think about. No, I just, you know, look at my opportunity that I have here, you know, playing at one of the best, you know, colleges and you know, just not in America but the world, and you know, have a chance to come to a new country and show what I have. I think, you know, that says a lot, and just trying to improve my career and you know, make the most of my opportunity.
The Wildcats back on the road this weekend as they travel down to Auburn Saturday. It'll be a 4 o'clock tip on ESPN. The UK women will face their toughest challenge of the season so far when number 2 South Carolina comes into the Coliseum tomorrow night. Last season, UK split the season series with Carolina, earning a hard-fought win in Lexington on Senior Day. Coach Matthew Mitchell says playing the Gamecocks is like getting a root canal.
It's tough. Root canals are tough, and South Carolina's tough, and they always are tough. They play real hard, and they play real tough, and we're familiar with each other, and the game means something. And, you know, over the last few years, we've both been competing at high levels in the conference. We've both won championships in the last few years, and so it's a big game, tough game.
NFL owners are allowing the St. Louis Rams to move to a new stadium just outside Los Angeles, and the San Diego Chargers will have an option to share that facility. The Oakland Raiders could make the move if San Diego doesn't. And the Cleveland Browns have hired Bengals offensive coordinator Hugh Jackson as their new coach. He will be the team's 8th coach since 1999. ESPN reported one caveat to Jackson being hired was Jackson indicated he would prefer the organization move on from Johnny Manziel if he were to become head coach. And he was told that would not be a problem. The Bigs not showing up last night for the Cats. We'll have that in the next half hour. Stay with us. We'll be back after the break.